All those in favor?
I second.
All those in favor
Mr. Speaker, point
signify
of parliamentary
by
inquiry,
saying aye.
please.
All those in favor of the amendment signify by saying aye.
Mr. Speaker, recess, please.
Beg you, state your question again.
Sorry, according to House Rule 48, we need a vote if we're going to call for the question. Can we take a vote first, please?
Okay, thank you very much. It has been moved and seconded. All those in favor of ceasing debate or stopping debate signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? No. Motion is passed. So we're back to the question now. Those are in favor of the amendment, number 18, signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay. Motion failed. So we're up to 19. Representative
Speaker,
Oshiro.
point of parliamentary information that I asked for the last time.
State your point.
Mr. Speaker, I asked for what rule do we limit debate to?
48. Rule 48.
The floor leader said it was rule number 1. We can't find anything in rule number
48.
1.
48.
Rule number 48. What does it say?
48, sir.
It says what?
Read 48.
I've got it memorized.
We'll take some time for you to read 48. All right, will the House come to order? And that includes the gallery. Thank you. All right, we're on Representative Ward.
Mr. Speaker, point of information in that rule number 48, which I did read, thank you very much for the reference, says that calling for the question and the procedures thereof. My question to you, Mr. Speaker, was why do we limit our debate to 10 minutes? We have gone through 5 days, 55 hours of hearings.
Okay, it has been
What is the
stated,
rush?
You've had an opportunity to review the ruling, and we shall continue now.
I don't have a horse in the race, but he's got some amendments to make, which the
Okay,
people
yes,
should be
then
able
we'll
to
go
hear.
on to the to amendment number 19.
Thank
Representative Oshiro.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Amendment number 19.
Yeah. At this time, I'd like to offer for amendment to the Senate Bill House Draft 1, floor amendment number 19.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Clerk, has the copies been distributed?
Yes, Mr. Speaker, copies of floor amendment number 19 have been distributed.
Thank you very much. Representative Oshiro.
Mr. Speaker, I move for the adoption of floor amendment number 19.
Right there, a second.
Mr. Speaker, I'll second that motion.
It has been moved and seconded for amendment number 19. Discussion, please. Representative Oshiro.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Amendment number 19 is footer number 14-0235. Again, it adds a severability clause, and let me just add the importance of severability clause is basically to put at truce both sides of this contentious debate. It basically puts on notice both sides that any of their fringe members of their organizations, if they were to file a lawsuit and any portion of this act would be deemed illegal, void, or unconstitutional, the whole act would go away. It's been used in other states. I think New York is one state. I believe may have been Vermont or one of the Northeast states. But it has served its purpose so far that no suits have been brought challenging the provisions either for the marital rights of same-sex couples, nor the protections afforded to religious organizations in both the solemnization rights and or the use of facilities therein. Again, it makes the rulemaking subject to Chapter 91 of the Hawaii Administrative Procedures Act. I've always thought that this provision here gives too much discretion to Department of Health and its agency for the promulgation of rules. I consider it maybe an unlawful delegation of authority in a statute like this. The governor always has his emergency rulemaking authority for that effect, Mr. Speaker. So that's why you also see it here. It also deletes the divorce provisions. That's in, I think, Section 10 of the Senate bill. I believe the representative for Kapolei has mentioned why it may run afoul of certain current family court practice. But I'd also like to draw people's attention to the expert witness testimony that came in through the Minority Caucus's informational briefing several weeks ago. Professor Wardell, who is a distinguished professor of family law, both nationally and internationally, opined that that particular provision, waiving domiciliary requirements to interstate, intrastate marital relationships may indeed be unconstitutional, primarily for a violation of due process protections of those parties who may not be of the rest or of the jurisdiction of the state of Hawaii, and also the effectiveness or lack thereof of the parties who may be on the mainland. I think I also need to add, Mr. Speaker, that it would apply to jurisdictions or jurisdiction. So that means it could be of 2 states on the mainland, or could also be foreign jurisdictions, Mr. Speaker. It could be a jurisdiction outside the United States. It could be in a foreign land. And those parties, too, would have access to our family courts for the annulment, divorce, and or support orders that our family court might let out. Finally, Mr. Speaker, it adds a provision here that clarifies the language in the current draft of House Draft 1, which I believe is deficient in that the language regarding the protections from legal liability only seems to address, and I point to page 6, lines 5, shall be immune from any fine, penalty, injunction, administrative proceeding, or any other legal or administrative liability for the failure or refusal. That similar language is also contained in another section dealing with the facilities, and that is on page 13, where it states, page 13, lines 19, civil union, shall be immune from any fine, penalty, injunction, administrative proceeding, or any other legal administrative liability for failure or refusal. What I believe it misses out, and I believe is substituted in the legal sense, is that it should say that shall not create any civil claim or cause of action or result in any state action to provide real protections to these parties. I'd also find that it's deficient and it does not cover political subdivisions of the state, which would include the counties, Mr. Speaker. This law has no effect over the counties and their regulations, and it certainly doesn't have any reflection or effect upon commissions. as is reflected in the Connecticut law where it has commissions. I think that omission is significant in light of the fact that under the current laws of the state regarding public accommodations, the Hawaii Civil Rights Commission may have jurisdiction over these matters. So for those reasons, Mr. Speaker, I ask that we consider these these amendments to the current House draft. Thank you.
Okay, Representative, thank you very much. Further discussion on this
Mr.
item?
Speaker.
Representative Shaw.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Oh.
Mr. Speaker, I rise in support of the amended language only and not the underlying bill.
Please
Thank you, Mr.
proceed.
Speaker. You know, first of all, may I please have the words of the Speaker from Wahiwa entered into the journal as if they are my own?
So ordered.
Secondly, Mr. Speaker, you know, it is the very reason that this bill was rushed that these amendments are necessary. These amendments were forced to right the wrongs of the majority. So I take great umbrage to one of my colleagues saying that these amendments were not reviewed and we're rushing these through. They didn't go through the proper process. These were all discussed in hearing, and we are trying to make a bad bill better, which is the reason for these amendments being offered, Mr. Speaker. For these reasons, I support the amended language. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much. Further discussion, Representative Awano.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise in support of the amendment, and I'd also ask that the words of the representative from Kapolei be entered into
So
the
ordered.
journal. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Further discussion.
Mr. Speaker,
Yes, Representative.
I rise in opposition to this floor amendment.
State your opposition.
This floor amendment is similar to ones that we considered and voted down on Wednesday evening. In particular, the problem with this floor amendment is that it once again would allow for whole-scale discrimination by any individual who claims a sincerely held religious belief. That discrimination is not limited just to same-gender marriages or ceremonies. It opens the door to any form of discrimination, whether it be on age, gender, ethnicity, or any other classification. Accordingly, I oppose this floor amendment, and I will call for the question in 3 minutes. Thank you.
Okay, question has been called. Is there a second to it?
Mr. Speaker,
I'll second.
All those in favor in stopping debate signify by saying aye.
Mr. Speaker, recess.
Those
Mr.
opposed
Speaker,
say nay.
recess.
Those opposed say nay. Motion is passed. Debate has ended. Okay, all those in favor of approving amendment number 19 signify by saying aye. Those opposed. Amendment 19 dies or fails. Okay, we're on
Mr. Speaker,
amendment number 20.
Mr. Speaker, may I have a short recess, please?
Yes, recess.
Thank you.